right, so DDAL05-1. Say that 10 times really quick, and I'll give you an inspiration. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so where we're going to start off is I'm going to show you the Sword Coast map first. This is out of the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. This is a beautiful map of the Sword Coast and a lot of the outlying areas that encompass around the Sword Coast. Now, where I'm going to sync you guys up is around the Grey Peak Mountains. You guys can see the Grey Peak Mountains and a couple of pointers. Now, the pointer on the left that is facing to the left, this is a location where you're supposed to meet someone, all right? The arrow on the right facing towards this little nook in the woods is a town called Parnest, and it doesn't have a location on the map. I'm eventually going to start adding the fonts on the map and creating a new map with more locations on it. So that will eventually show up over time. But as for this series, you guys have all heard of the assassination of King Hecadon's wife. And King Hecadon is he's the giant. He's not the giant god. He's just the storm giant that keeps all the other giants under wraps, under control. The giants have this thing called the ordning that is been in place for many generations, many thousands of years. And it's sort of like I guess you can say it's sort of like a caste system for the giants. And the hierarchy is as follows. On the top, of course, are the storm giants. All right? And these storm giants, they control all the other lesser giants. So the giants under the storm giants are the cloud giants. And the cloud giants are very passive. They like to stay out of all the affairs of the other giants. They're really neutral. All right? They also consider themselves to be extravagant and the most wise of all of the giants. Then under the cloud giants are the fire giants. And the fire giants are known as the warmongers, the mercenaries, the killers, and they are great forgers that possess great skill in forging to possess the ability to create many powerful magic items for the giants. Under the fire giants are the frost giants. And they're also merciless like the fire giants, but not as bad. They're predators, and they are phenomenal fighters. They have a great martial prowess. Now under them are the stone giants, and they're very xenophobic. They live underground mostly. They're grand sculptors of stone and masonry work underground. Then at the bottom of this caste system are the poor hill giants. And these gluttonous creatures, they're very loathsome. They're dullards. A lot of the times they're considered dumb. And basically they fear all the other giants. And this caste system, since Queen Neri was killed, assassinated, this ordning has been all shooken up. The storm giants are no longer being able to control all the other, types of giants. So that's where you guys come into play. You need to find out what happened to King Hecadon. He's wanting to destroy all of mankind, all of the small ones, as they're called. But Queen Neri was very passive towards the humans. She always did a lot of diplomacy with the humans, and so there's kind of been a little, I guess you could say, a little calm before the storm starts. But word starts getting around that King Hecadin is now vanished. Is he dead? Is he kidnapped? Hey, who knows? But all of the organizations, the Order of the Gauntlet, the Zentrum, the Emerald Enclave, the Lord's Alliance, and the Zentrum, they all want to find out what happened with King Hecadin, because they know for a fact none of their organizations assassinated the Queen. So who assassinated the Queen? That is what needs to be found out, and that's what all of the organizations have pulled all of their top agents, such as all of you, and they're starting to strategically place all of you throughout the Sword Coast and the land of Faerun. Everything needs to be found out on who killed Queen Neri, where is King Hecadin, is King Hecadin still alive, and pray that King Hecadin is still alive, because he will, when this giant caste system is put back into effect. He and his brother and his daughter will put this caste system back into order. But as of right now, it's a free-for-all. Giants are running around everywhere killing people, and this hasn't gone on for a long time. The last time that the giants actually were warring with anything was the dragons years back. But now the giants are basically warring with everything and everyone, killing everyone, destroying villages and all that stuff. So, all of the agents have pulled all their resources together, and hopefully the agents can find out what happened and hopefully find King Hecadin. Alright, so to kind of turn back the clock a little bit. That's current day, what I just talked about. Now, what happened quite a while ago was the tyranny of dragons. And all of you guys had helped in this as well. This is how you guys got into adventuring. Was with this massive recruiting of Zentrum agents, agents for the Lord's Alliance, Order of the Gauntlet, the Emerald Enclave, the Harpers, the Cult of the Dragon. This Cult of the Dragon was trying to summon Tiamat once more, summoning her out of the depths of the elemental chaos, and to bring her back to the surface world so she could wreak havoc and basically control all dragons and all life. Well, that failed miserably. There was a group of adventurers that actually stopped the ritual summoning Tiamat, and Tiamat was summoned, but she was in a very weakened state, and she was driven back down into the depths of the elemental chaos. So this cult of the dragon, they basically just pillaged the entire Sword Coast. Took loot from every town. Of course they did not raid the large cities like Baldur's Gate or Waterdeep or Neverwinter or Luskan or anything like that. But anything under that, it was pretty much ripe for the picking. And they had amassed this unbelievable amount of wealth to summon Tiamat. Well, anyway, some of the purple robe wearers, which were the leaders of the cult, they started hiding these treasure caches all along the Sword Coast once they kind of started figuring out that, hey, there's a possibility we may not be successful here. So they started hiding all of these treasure caches. Well, that's now current day where you guys are coming into play, because one of the most famous treasure hunters in all of the Forgotten Realms is named Verada Store. Verada Store. And Verada Store has put out a call for assistance from the organizations in tracking down some of these caches of treasure that were hidden by the now defunct Cult of the Dragon that I just mentioned. Well, there's 5 of these such caches that are in the Grey Peak Mountains. So, through luck, skill, and the interventions and information of your factions, you 4 have been chosen to assist Verada Store. And you were told to meet her in a clearing along the Black Road just east of the village of Parnast. And like I said, this arrow here that I'm moving is where Parnast is located. So you're traveling through the hills and you are meeting Verada Store at the base of the Grey Peak Mountains. So you leave Parnast, and your trip along the Black Road showed quite a few signs of goblin presence. Goblins are really, they're pretty easy opponents for you, especially in the status that you guys have already gained within your organizations and your what profession that you are practicing to fulfill mastery with. So you've met other travelers along the way, small little villages, farming villages, fishing villages, and they've all talked to you about giant activity along with goblin activity. And some have actually been able to show a little bit of evidence. You've been able to see a couple of huge footprints in several of the farmsteads and their crops. You've been told of missing livestock, and you've actually seen a couple of livestock ripped in half, basically eaten. Probably what the ogres or giants would do. And then there's several rune-covered boulders that you guys have seen along the way as well. So now that you you hear of these stories and you've seen a little bit of the evidence, do you think the farmers are over-exaggerating just a little bit, or do you actually think that they know what they're talking about? Do you think these, especially with all of the, the ordning failing with the giant caste system, do you think this is all part of that? So, the rendezvous point where you're going to be meeting this famed treasure hunter, Verada Store. You meet the rendezvous point, and Verada is nowhere to be found. And as you guys are kind of checking around, and I'll let you guys kind of pick up here when you get to the rendezvous point, and there's really nothing going on. She's not here. But you know that she is a very punctual, one for being somewhere where, she's supposed to be. So, what do you guys want to do now that you're at the rendezvous point and Verada is nowhere to be seen or found?
Well, I think we'll have to search for a recent struggle, or if there was a fight going on. It seems unusual that Verada would not be where she summoned us.
No?
Indeed, let's have a look around.
Alright, you guys can go ahead and give me investigation checks if you'd like to. Intelligence investigation. And we'll get to going. As you start to look around and everybody, kind of catches your breath from traveling through the rolling hills and whatnot leading up to the Grey Peak Mountains, you guys all catch your breath and, you're kind of a little winded, and all of you start to notice that there's a whole countless amount of footprints of varying sizes from small to even large. And as you start digging a little bit deeper, you can see that there's actually lots of blood stains that are marring the ground in the thick grass. And as you guys are searching the area, there is unfortunately several corpses, and one of them is Verada Store. And she is, unfortunately, her head has been caved in by probably some type of large bludgeoning weapon. And if you guys want to give me somebody want to give me a medicine check, we'll see if you guys can kind of tell how long she's been here or whatnot. So I'm sure you guys are going to do that next anyway, so. Want, Valen.
And I'm supposed to be good at it.
I know. I see that bonus. I will tell you this, Zyphus. It looks like Verada's been dead for several hours now. I will give you that. It looks like she's been dead for several hours. But the wound that actually, did her in, what actually ended her, was a massive blow to the head, basically, caving her head in like a watermelon.
So what
Looks like
is
somebody used a tree trunk on our point of contact here.
Just about, yeah.
Tree trunk?
what are the
Something
other
big,
corpses?
something big.
Yeah, this is kind of over the hill too. So, and around where these three corpses are, several other agents that were probably with, or treasure hunters that were with Verada's store. There's equipment that is kind of scattering all around this clearing that she's laid dead. And you can tell that there was a sign of struggle. There were a fight. There's also, as you guys start to look around, there's a couple of blood trails that lead off, and you find a couple of dead goblins as well, that they had succumbed from the injuries that they sustained from Verada and her other treasure hunter companions. Sorry, I had to burp there for a second. And so there you go. 3 bodies, a struggle, a big fight, a couple of other baddies that are dead in the vicinity. All right. What do you guys think?
I think this is an ill omen.
Yeah,
If Verada could go down, we know we are in for some trouble if we find whatever did this.
Yeah, Verada, she was known to be a very skilled fighter as well.
Obviously, she was ambushed.
She was a master of dueling scimitars.
do we see any other trails leading off away from the battle?
You guys are kind of... Yeah, you had found a couple of blood trails that led off to a couple of dead goblins. Now, I guess you kind of want to look around as well, or...
Yeah, would Verada have anything on her that maybe would indicate what she wanted with us?
Yeah, well, yes. What she wanted to meet you for was because, like I was talking about, there are these secret caches that were basically taken from the Cult of the Dragon's loot hoard that they had saved for Tiamat, and they buried them in caves in the Grey Peak Mountains in 5 different locations. Supposedly, Verada knew all 5 locations, and that's why she had inquired with you folks, is because she wanted to take you along and do her treasure hunting thing and get all of these caches back, and hopefully get some of these belongings back to their rightful owners in whatever town that this stuff came from. That was the plan, but now that Verada's dead, you're rolling her around on the ground. And I don't mean that funny, but you're kind of, rolling her around, and you see that under her is a large tome, and her hand was kind of under her. She was kind of laying face down. You kind of rolled her over, and she was holding this large tome in her hand. And it looks like several pages have been torn out of this tome, because there are a couple of blank pages, that were under her as well.
Anything written in there at all, or is all the written stuff been ripped out?
It looks like most of the stuff has been ripped out. Now, who all is doing the searching of Verada?
Definitely that rogue.
I'm doing it.
Okay, so I want both of you that are doing the searching on the rogue, give me a perception check, and I want you to put it in the tower for me, please. All right, so Keyleth, as you two are, checking over the corpse and stuff, you notice something very, very strange about Verada. Now, you take your hands, and her skin seems to, and Verada's pretty young. She's in her early 30s. Very, very beautiful woman. And you notice that a part of her, as you're kind of looking around, and you're looking, the seams of her pants to see if she has anything tucked in there. It looks like her skin is really off-colored and whatnot. But as you're looking, you see that something doesn't look right, and you're able to peel her skin away. But it's not her skin, it's sort of like this fake false skin that is over her normal skin, because as you pull it away, you find another piece of parchment. And the parchment has a bunch of stuff written in common, and all of a sudden you start to glance at it, and it starts talking about the 5 different cache. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Interesting find.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and drop this handout on you, Caliph, and it should pop up on just you. And if you want to, but you're the one that has possession, and actually the other person who was that Valen that was with you doing the.
No.
Zyphus was also looking
Okay,
over.
Zyphus was so yeah. You see Keyleth peels like this fake skin away, and he unfolds this piece of parchment that was basically folded, and there's a bunch of stuff in common. So I'm also gonna show this to you as well, Zyphus, so it'll pop up for you. Now you guys can do what you want with this, but it looks like as you guys are looking over it, it seems like these are the locations of these 5 caches that are, hidden within the Grey Peak Mountains.
Yeah, I'm gonna call the others over to have a look at it.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that too.
Excellent.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. And like I said, this has all of the important information, and some of this was a little bit written in a code, but with Keyleth here, and he does have some treasure hunting abilities as well. He's able to actually, decipher this. So the first cache, Verada goes into speaking that the first treasure cache was hidden by the Cult of the Dragon in an abandoned cave at the southernmost mountain in the Grey Peak Range. And then she goes on to explain that, she thought that this is probably going to be one of the smallest caches. It is also not thought to be protected by any traps or any magic. So that's a good thing. But she does go on to say that the caves and tunnels of the complex, according to her sources, are not very structurally sound, and she also knows that goblins are inhibiting the area as well, inhabiting the area. So that's the first cache, and then there's also 4 other caches that are there. But the closest one to where you're at is the first cache, because you are basically at the southernmost mountain in the Grey Peak Mountains.
Yeah, this first cache seems like it might be the first one to head to. The least trouble to start off with, I guess.
We were brought here. It's obviously the closest to us. This must have been her plan.
And also, because goblins are known to inhabit the area, maybe that's why they attacked her also. Because goblins knew about the treasure and they wanted to protect it.
I don't know a goblin that can smash a head like this.
Indeed.
Yeah, but we also found goblins around here, so
Maybe
something.
they're working in cahoots with something bigger.
Goblins I can handle. That Skull Crusher. It'll be a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason not to go in the order she was going in.
Yeah, that's probably what you have planned anyway.
There's also, coordinates as well that you would be able to find these locations on your standard Adventurer's Vault Acme map of the Forgotten Realms from any participating
It looks like a Pit Boy, doesn't it?
store. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got Frisch's Big Boy in front of it too, with a coupon to the Taco Shack for 10 copper off next meal. All right, so you guys know the location of this first cache.
That's made me hungry. Let's stop for lunch.
Sure. Yeah, you guys can stop for lunch if you want. It's
We're gonna head to the Frisch's Big Boy.
there's one along the way. Big neon lights that say use your coupons here. It's Taco Tuesday, actually. It's Taco Tuesday. All you can eat tacos.
All right, so you guys wanted to rest a little bit before we head off?
I'm ready to go when you guys are.
I'm ready.
Well, looks like Keyless isn't up to snuff.
What do you mean?
The status says wounded.
Maybe from another game.
No, you're all right.
All right, I think we should walk in the direction that the first cache would lead to us.
All right. You guys are traveling along the base of the Great Peak Mountains, and you find the cave, the opening of this cave. Now, as you guys are getting closer, you start to see that there are a variety of obvious tracks all over the place. Now, all of you are able to, put all of your tracking skills together, all of your knowledge, and you're able to, determine that there are going to be a ton of goblins here. You can also tell that there are going to be 1 or 2 giants, and there's also possibly a bear involved, because you've seen some bear tracks. Is the bear associated with this crew of giants and goblins? You have no clue. But these are all the tracks that you have found together. Now I'm going to show you the map to the entrance of the cave. Here we go. I'm going to put all of your tokens here at the beginning, so you guys can go ahead and put down your marching order. As you start to enter the cave. Yes.
Would we be able to tell the difference between giants? I mean, we would assume all these were hill giants, right?
Some giants are you would think they possibly would be something like one of the smaller
I guess
giants.
would we have any reason to believe they would be anything other than hill giants?
Probably not, because of the terrain that you're in. It's most likely they probably would be hill giants, but especially with the ordning being out of whack as it is, or the giant's caste system, it could be something else. I mean, it could be stone, it could be frost or fire, but chances are where you're at, probably hill or stone. But you just really never know. But you know that there's some giants, the smaller giants. Like the cloud giants, the storm giants are a lot bigger, so you'd be able to tell that.
Smaller giant, excellent. Well, the cave looks promising. Who's
I know that
leading the
doesn't
way?
sound right, small giants and large giants, but there is actually a little bit of size difference that you would be able to tell. But it's definitely probably something like a hill or a stone giant, which in its own regards is really strong anyway. So, probably a giant if it does have the element of surprise, it could probably take out a party of 4 or 5 people.
Regardless, let's tread warily, friends.
Okay. I know we have a thief and a mage. Who's the other one?
I'm a fighter. I plan to lead the way.
I was waiting for